Welcome to this week of Beanie the Boom, the podcast. We got a very special guest. He's not here yet. But indeed, our guy, Tim May, will be here to break down Ohio State, the pregame. I don't want to say pregame, but just.
I mean, you can say it's pregame. I mean, it is pregame.
Yeah, it is pregame. I mean, it's not directly before the game, but you know what we mean.
Yeah, it's the week of the game.
Yeah,
man.
Week of the game.
College
break
football
that down.
is back.
And I'm so glad it's back. And with that being said, before we even dive any further, Boom, we always talk about, the wagers that we make. What games are you taking this weekend? You want me to rattle off my games that I'm taking this weekend?
You can rattle off yours first.
Man, so obviously we always go to betdsi.com, and that's where we make our wagers. And for new members, remember to use promo code Beanie100 to get 100% bonus. Now that doubles more than your money, so get started at betdsi.com today. But I'm going to tell you the bets that I'm making. One of the games that I think probably is the best game of the weekend, the entire weekend, is the Oregon-Auburn game. And they got Auburn was minus 3.5. And
you going with the upset?
No, I'm not going with the upset. I'm taking Auburn in this situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm taking Auburn. I think Auburn probably will
Where's
win
the
this
game at, though?
I don't even know where it is, man. I haven't looked that far. But nonetheless, I think Auburn is the better team, better organization. I mean, I don't think Oregon has been much of anything since Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
We know that they got I think the coach is probably in their second year. It hasn't been pretty there at Oregon anyways. But nonetheless, I'm taking Auburn, Georgia Tech versus Clemson tonight.
That's tonight, yeah. I was taking that one too.
It opened the gate at what? I want to say minus 35.5. Yeah. And it's probably up to 37 at this point in time.
They beat them by 50.
Man, Georgia Tech is one of them scary-ass teams.
Yeah, hey, you know what? And another thing, they're going to run that wishbone stuff. So
you
it's
never
take a
know.
lot of time. Yeah.
But
yeah, you got a good point.
I was watching Trevor Lawrence, who we're going to talk about on the show a little bit more. And the dude looked damn good just flicking the ball. He was at the Peyton Manning camp, man. Looked dang good.
It's baby Jesus.
In this situation, man, I got to take Georgia Tech because I don't know. Out the gate, first game of the year, you're playing a tough football team.
Hold on. You taking Georgia Tech not to win, right?
Not to win, but
I'm about
the
to
spread. Yeah, I mean, the cover spread. I mean, Clemson's definitely going to win. I just don't think they're going to win by 37.5 points.
Well, I'm going to disagree. I think Clemson's going to definitely cover the spread. I think they'll win by 42 points.
All right. Duke and Alabama minus 33.5. I'm taking Bama in this situation. I mean, Duke is Duke. They're not going to be anywhere close to Alabama. But go to betdsi.com to make those wagers. That's where me and Boom will be making ours at this weekend. And remember, use promo code Beanie100 to get 100% bonus money and more than double your money. So get started today.
And remember, they pay fast. So make sure you go over there, get your bets in, and you're going to get your money fast.
Fast, quick, in a hurry. And I know you guys probably see us, man, looking fresh in these new Beanie and the Boom, the podcast T-shirts. You want these things. Along with the bumper sticker or wherever you want to put that sticker.
I got you.
Support the show. They're on sale at lettermenrow.com. Go to the store and buy up some stuff, man. Buy up cool gear. Support the show. Support Lettermen Row.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do. And with that being said, man, our guest is here. So walk in, man. Just walk in, and he makes his great entrance. This is our guy, man. Anytime we get a chance to get this fella on the show, it's phenomenal. Obviously, he has his own podcast. Through Lettermen Row, you can check out
size shirt you wear?
As well.
What size shirt you wear?
Large.
Okay.
Welcome our guy, Tim May. Tim, how's it going?
I wish I'd never agreed to do this show. I didn't think I was going to get here.
Traffic was crazy.
The cops are out today. The road construction crews are out today.
That was a nightmare.
And that was just getting to the freeway. But I digress.
So
what's up, fellas?
Hey, you made it.
Why'd y'all decide you wanted to have me on this show?
Who else would we want to have
with Beanie and Boom? Who needs anything else?
But the preview of the season, I mean,
I'd be faking to you and handing to him.
I take it every day of the week.
Well, I grew up, man, watching Houston run that veer option offense. You know, Bill Yeoman's the guy that started. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
I know you're talking about.
You know, the first guy to ever really leave a guy just naked on the edge, and I'm going to read you, and teams didn't know what to do with it, and then of course that morphed into the wishbone, et cetera. But you guys, man, two tailbacks and a wishbone, that would have been sweet.
Before we dive in, Tim, you grew up in Alabama,
I could reverse out slow as I am and then pitch to one of you guys.
You grew up in Alabama, right?
Alabama and then Texas.
Alabama and then Texas. So I got to ask, man, where does the Pony Express rank in your duo of running backs that you've seen in all your years covering football?
The best that money could buy.
Literally, the best the money can buy.
No, they were damn good, man. Eric Dickerson and Craig James.
Oh, my gosh.
They were both superlative running backs, and of course Dickerson is one of the great running backs of all time.
Right. That's a fact. Right there.
But the bottom line is it was phenomenal to see that team that SMU put together, back in the day.
So I'm in my mind right now, I'm going through duels of running backs, and these guys were on the same team, but I don't think they had a dual threat situation there at Oklahoma State with Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas.
Oh yeah. Well, I once when Oklahoma State came up to play Ohio State, but what was that, the season opener or whenever it was, 88, 89, somewhere in there. I'm sitting there talking, I can't remember the Oklahoma State head coach then, but back then you actually got to cover. You could go hang out and watch practices. They let me watch their walkthrough, and that coach, I'll remember his name as soon as I'm driving home, I'm sure, and get behind another semi, but that's another story. I digress. Bottom line is, he said, Tim, he goes, it's funny, because by then we're on a first-name basis.
Right.
It's funny? He goes, if Thurman Thomas was running away from you, right, watching these guys warm up, or if Barry Sanders, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, meaning the way they were built and stuff. Yeah, that was crazy. And the thing is, it's really odd because they ran the ball then at Oklahoma State like they throw it now.
Right.
And it was crazy.
Hell, you got those guys. You got.
But Oklahoma, man, when Oklahoma went to the wishbone, Alabama went to the wishbone, and Bear Bryant added the passing part to it, just on a whim. In preseason practice, he put it in before, what was that, the 70-71 season. They went out and upset USC, 71 season. And then
Charles White.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
not Charles White. That was well before him. Johnny Musso was the great running back for Alabama then.
SC.
Yeah.
Charles White wasn't there in 71?
No, Charles White didn't come along till the late 70s, because he was a draft pick of the Cleveland Browns.
Okay. All right.
But Charles White was damn good too. Yeah. But I digress. I'm not going to say that again. But yeah, it was really cool to watch. Because I don't know if you guys were liked it or not. Because when I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and then in the 80s, you remember teams either were lining up in the wishbone or they were dotting the I. And the dotting the I meant you carried the ball 40 times a game.
Exactly.
Right, George Rogers, Archie Griffin.
Wear you out.
Right on down the line. And the funny thing about it was Texas went to the wishbone back in the late 60s with Darrell Royal, and it kind of upset me still that they recruited Earl Campbell from John Tyler High School in Tyler, Texas. His high school played our high school in the same league and stuff. The greatest running back I ever saw in high school. I saw Billy Sims play in high school, but he wasn't anything like Earl Campbell. He didn't play on the same level, you know what I mean? But what I'm getting to here is he took Earl Campbell and put him as the fullback in the wishbone, which is – no, it was crazy. He'd get like 8-10 carries a game, you know what I mean? And then finally, when Darrell Royal stepped down, who was it who took his place? Fred Akers or whoever it was – dotted the I with Earl Campbell, and what did he do? He won the Heisman Trophy.
Exactly. Rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. But that was the day. I don't know if y'all would have liked it or not, because by the time you got into the league, you'd have been so beat up,
Yeah, I would have loved it.
I was about to say, as long as I was getting the ball in my hand, and I can run.
I'm on. Do you mind if I ask y'all a question? That's why I was asking J.K. Dobbins the other day. Or last year we were talking about it, and I go, it's really interesting to me, and I didn't ask him this part, but how the running back has been devalued in the National Football League. You guys are really like disposable diapers to them anymore. It's like they use you up and then throw you away. And don't pay. That's why Zeke, people can knock on Zeke all they want.
I think it's the smartest thing in the world he's doing right now.
The clock has been ticking since he got there. And you only have a little bit, your window to get paid as a running back in the National Football League on elite level is very small.
Very small.
But I wanted to ask both you guys, when did you know that you had that temperament? Because this is kind of like a boxer, that for that reward of getting to tote the pigskin, that you would take the punishment that you took. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I know you're thinking every time you get the ball in your hands, you're going 80, but that ain't the way it worked out. And then on top of that, it's like you're in a car wreck every time.
Yeah.
You're running, and all of a sudden you're on the ground. You know what I mean? Imagine, you see people kind of trip and fall sometimes, and it's like, oh, man.
Right.
That happens to you every freaking play except when you score. When did you realize you had, that temperament to do that? To take that? to take that kind of punishment?
Oh man, I think I just grew up being so aggressive that I always wanted to kind of be the punisher, be the bully. So growing up, I kind of knew. Obviously, I had it in me to kind of, impose my will on other people.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it.
Who did you see that you wanted to emulate? Who was the guy that you were? I never asked you that when you were in high school.
No. When I first seen Adrian Peterson, and back then, this was when Rivals was real hot. I would go on Rivals.com all the time. I would check out AP when he was in high school.
Yeah.
And when I watched him run the ball, and I watched
Palestine
him
High School, baby.
straight up
50
plow
miles from
people over.
Lufkin. Yeah.
Oh, bro, it was crazy. And then there was another running back.
Man, but Adrian Peterson, you got to know him, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You look at this guy and you go, he's not that guy because he doesn't look as big
Right.
as he is.
Exactly.
He was
He lean.
I mean, you touch him.
Yeah, he lean.
Oh my goodness!
Muscular,
It
yeah.
was like touching a baseball bat,
Right.
And I'm just going. But the flip side of it is when you go busting through there, though, you don't score every play. You
Right.
get, go ahead though. I'm sorry.
You get the crap beat out of you.
Yeah. And I marvel at guys like J.K. Dobbins is looking forward to maybe getting 20, 25 carries a game this year.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's crazy in this modern game, man.
It's scary.
Even today.
It's scary, man. And, speaking of J.K., when talking about him, and, I obviously want to see him touch the ball. I want to see him break all the records and have more yards than he had his freshman year. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about him getting 20 to 25 touches, we might as well go into the show, dive a little.
Oh,
Man,
right,
we're
right.
here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
No.
That was about to be one of my questions.
Yeah.
That was one of my questions
So,
anyway.
And I'm going to pose to you guys. It worries me the fact that, okay, he's going to get 20 to 25 touches. He's the marquee guy now. But we don't have necessarily another guy behind him waiting in the wings that can carry it just as much. DeMario McCall is a good running back, but I don't think he's built to carry the load.
Don't tell DeMario that.
Everybody on this show,
We know.
Lettermen Row, they know
We
I
keep it-
love.
yeah,
they
yeah,
know
No,
I
that's
love
his
DeMario.
guy.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Man.
But to be able to carry the load,
Yeah.
I don't know that he's built that way. And then we don't know what we had behind. We saw
Beanie
Master
Wells.
Teague.
Yeah.
When's
Beanie
the
Wells, DeMario
I mean-
McCall, campaign manager.
When's the last time we had? I mean, obviously yourself, Zeke. I mean,
Yeah.
even when I was playing, it wasn't no 20, 25 carries.
No, but even the thing I'm getting at is, when's the last time we had a situation to where behind the starting running back,
there was no. Like,
Well,
I ain't gonna
John
say
so
there's
much
Woolridge-
of an unknown?
John Woolridge will tell you the two best running backs ever to play at Ohio State at the same time were him and Keith Byers. That'd be like me being in a room. That's like me in a room. The two best sports writers ever worked together were me and Grantland Rice. No, but
Did you share that same concern?
yeah.
I mean,
Well, no, I mean, when you and Pitt were there, I mean, that was a good 1-2 punch.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my opinion, I think it was an excellent 1-2
Yeah.
punch. Well, boom. Who you were with him, right? And then
I was with him.
Yeah.
Me and Sane.
yeah, and you and Saint.
Me and Carlos.
Yeah.
It was.
But
that's what I'm saying.
we
This is
always had
unknown
yeah,
this year.
Yeah.
But the bad thing about not bad necessarily as in in the way that word actually comes. Sometimes bad is good, right? But the interesting thing about the modern game is, how much is the running back part of the deal? I mean, he is part of the
Right.
deal, but it isn't like the old days when, like I said, with Trestle ball, you lined up and tried to control the football, especially if you had a lead in the fourth quarter. I mean, they don't
running that
necessarily
thing. Yeah.
they don't do that anymore.
Right.
But I'm with you. I mean, I'm looking at this team going into the season, and you got J.K. Dobbins. You thought you were going to have Master Teague the third. We'll see where his status is. Even this afternoon, we get to talk to Ryan Day for the opener and beyond. But then you got Marcus Crowley, the freshman who came in early. They think he could be pretty. You never know about these guys until they get their shot. Like Zeke.
Right.
Yeah.
Zeke was going to be pretty good, you think. Zeke didn't have the credentials Marcus Crowley had coming out of high school, but he was damn good. So you never know once those guys get their shot what they're going to be like. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I'm interested in seeing is guys emerge. But in this age, the great thing about the modern offense, you only need really one great back because you can make do. DeMario McCall, I'm with you. I think this guy, if he gets some consistent play, could really be one of those breakout guys this year because he's got the quicks. He feels he's bigger. I said, how much bigger? He goes, 3 more pounds. I didn't say anything, but I can gain 3 pounds in a good steak dinner. But
I feel like he's every bit as good as Curtis Samuel. I truly do.
think-
If he gets the opportunity, I think he's Curtis Samuel.
you agree with that?
I agree.
I mean, I've watched him too. I see that potential in him. I'm not going to put him on that level until he actually does it.
Okay.
There's a big difference between practice and and playing. But I coming out of high school, he definitely had the potential. Then he got lost, and he got banged up and wasn't able to practice consistently, et cetera. And
Well, hopefully,
I'm like what's his face, Iverson on that. I mean, practice. I mean, but the bottom line is, you don't get to do it until you prove to the coaches you can do what they want you to do. That's the old line. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Boone.
No, I was gonna say, well, hopefully they can figure out a way to get that guy the ball, this year. I mean, obviously, when you come to Ohio State, it's a lot of talent here, we have a lot of talent this year. And sometimes some guys get lost in the shuffle, man. And hopefully that's not the situation with him.
That's like being one of the receivers right now. Oof. Like Brian Hartline on my podcast the other day. He talked about that. His joy would be walking into his room on Sunday, and everybody who started and a lot of the guys, got 10 catches plus, for $150, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
And the thing about it is, if you've been paying attention, which y'all have. From game to game, one receiver gets featured just out of happenstance. It just happens, that
game planning.
Devin Smith one week, et cetera, the next. And et cetera, by the way, he's got a great vertical. but the bottom line is you never know what's going to, and you don't know what's going to happen. And here's the conundrum that Ryan Day and his staff are dealing with. They've got one standout quarterback probably right now in Justin Fields, and then Gunnar Hoke and Chugunov. Gunnar Hoke just, is still learning the offense, and Chugunov, I think he could decently run the offense. Right. I mean, he did a couple times last year. But they've only got one standout, like we're talking about right now, running back. And so as much as you kind of want to see those guys get off in these first couple of games, you don't want to blast it. You don't want to blast it in your first couple of games because you got a Big Ten season coming that's going to be brutal. A bear. And there's a run in that Big Ten season that's as tough as any schedule in the country.
I agree 100%. And I think that's why it's important, let's get these guys in and let's get them out. Let's get into this game versus Lane Kiffin and his squad and get these guys out by halftime so we can see Gunnar Hoke, so we can see DeMario McCall, so we can see those other guys at the other positions.
Things don't always go like that, as you well know.
They don't, especially the first game of the season.
But here's the other thing. I mean, everybody goes, well, because those guys haven't played. I mean, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's – I don't like to use war analogies, but there's nothing like live bullets, Right. I mean, supposedly in the Army, I don't know if they still do it or not, they had that deal where you had to crawl under barbed wire and there was live bullets going if you raised your head up,
You did.
That was way back when, I'm sure, when they're, but yeah, you've gotta, and the other thing is, some guys are better when it's live. I mean, some guys are better, O.J. Simpson, maybe that's a bad name to bring up, but O.J. Simpson was ridiculous how he could see the field when he ran the ball. I mean, he would see guys over here, which to me is more than peripheral vision. That's like craziness. And that's what you never know about guys, but you've got to earn that right to get on the field. But they've got guys they need to bring along. That's the interesting part about this dynamic. They got to bring along another running back. They got to bring along another quarterback. Just like they've got 8 or 9 guys they think can play on the offensive line this year. They don't feel that way necessarily about their quarterbacks and running back yet.
Right. Speaking of the offensive line, is that the most question mark position on this team? Is the offensive line because of the fact that we only got one returning starter. Yeah, we get Brandon Bowen back, who's been on the roster, broke his leg in 17.
Well, he was a starter.
He broke his leg. And now we're got a bunch of newbies, and we're counting on a guy that's transferred from Rutgers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that the biggest question mark on the offense?
They like him, Jonah Jackson.
I've heard he's
They like
good.
him a lot. Like I asked Brandon Bowen the other day, I've got a story that's on LettermenRow.com is going to be, but just about the end of it, my story is about when I asked Brandon Bowen about, well, we bring a new guy in, and all these guys have kind of, offensive line's about getting on the conveyor belt.
Right.
And finally it's your turn.
Right. We've been here waiting.
Or it's you're about to get off the exit on the freeway and some guy cuts right in front of you,
right.
You know what I mean? And he makes the light and you don't. That's kind of what Jonah Jackson has done. And in any other situation, you think that could really mess up the chemistry of a group that has to play like a glove, has to play like a and he was saying, no, he goes, Jonah Jackson's come in, has been really stepped right in. One of the things he's brought, because he was a captain at Rutgers, is kind of a leadership quality that this is an interesting group. Thayer Munford's the only full-time starter returning.
Right.
But we know Wyatt Davis was a 5-star big-time recruit when they got him out of California. We know that Nicholas Petit-Frere, who Brandon Bowen has beaten out for probably the starter at right tackle, but Frere's going to play. Petit-Frere's going to play because he's had that great a camp and stuff. He was a 5-star when they got him. I mean, this thing is loaded. Josh Myers was a 5-star. The guy backing him up, Harry Miller, freshman out of Beaufort, Georgia, elite 5-star.
Right.
Like I said one day at practice, one of the few days we got to watch practice, man, I never equate anybody exactly to Orlando Pace because he's still, to me, he's the Mount Olympus. He's the Mount Olympus of a guy walking on to Ohio State's campus, and you're going, that guy could play in the NFL today.
Right.
Much less against Fresno State. And but the bottom line is Harry Miller looks his part. So you got competition at center. Josh Myers is going to hold sway there, it looks like. You got Jonah Jackson, but Gavin Cupp's a guy that's come along. And what I'm getting to here is I have a hard time taking a straight path to an answer. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Bottom line is they feel, I think, better about this offensive line going into this year than they did about the offensive line last year. As far as its potential,
right.
Definitely its depth. This is the best depth they've had definitely since Urban Meyer took over in 2012. This is by far the best depth they've had.
So you're not overly concerned by any means with the offensive line because of the depth and things you just rattled off there.
Yeah, I just think they've got just the quality of the player and actually – the quality of the person too. I mean, there's some quality dudes, man. It's I'm not knocking you guys, okay, but I mean,
it's okay.
But I mean, the players they've recruited the last several years, they're on another. I don't know. They're all like
new generation,
mature when they come in. There seem to be few, if any, troublemakers, rabble rousers. I'm sure football players, like I said to Brian Hartline one time when I did a story about this, football players y'all are different. I mean, y'all,
I think you have to be a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you're the guy that at 5 years old, you went off the high board, at the pool because you didn't care.
Exactly.
If you did a belly buster, probably felt better. But I mean, they're just different. But these guys, man, it's an interesting quality group of young men, I think.
No, man, I'm excited to see it, though, man. I really am. When you look at Justin Fields and you look at that whole situation, knowing he's a transfer, he's getting out here, he's getting a chance to start at Ohio State. What's your biggest concern for him? Do you think, or do you? I wouldn't say biggest concern. Do you think it's too much pressure on him right now to look like a Dwayne Haskins or be a JT Barrett right out the gate? And do you think that fans are going to give him not enough time to kind of, get adjusted to the offense and to develop a little bit out there?
Before I answer that question, I want to give y'all both credit because you've done something that I need to start doing on my podcast. Is you actually wrote down some stuff. Yeah. Because I get winging it with somebody I'm interviewing them. I go wherever that's like water coming down the hill. Right. I go wherever that water goes, man. Sometimes it goes straight. I asked Justin Fields that kind of question a couple of weeks ago, but I actually talked to some other guys about it. The interesting thing about Justin Fields, he's been in the spotlight for a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, ever since, in high school, he ended up starting, I think, late in his freshman year, but definitely his sophomore, junior years, he was put in charge. Right. Go run the offense and do your thing. But the thing is, he came along in that Elite 11 competition. And I understand I think he beat Trevor Lawrence, the guy who led Clemson to the national championship last year. He
pretty damn good.
Beat him in that competition, but he's up there with him from a talent standpoint. And so there have been these expectations of him all along. And then on top of that, 5-star recruit, et cetera, goes to Georgia, where he thinks he's going to beat out Jake Fromm, the guy that led Georgia to the national championship game the year before. That's high. Yeah. That's high expectations, and it's still murky to me until somebody says outright why he was given his freedom.
His walking papers.
Why he was given his freedom to play immediately. That was still has not been clearly shown. I mean, we know supposedly about a racial epithet that was tossed his way during a game or two, and that would, but that could happen almost anywhere.
Exactly.
But the bottom line is he's at Ohio State now. I find him to be a joy to to ask questions of and work with. So my point is he's known how to deal with us,
right.
The media. And that's one of your first things is, and he knows everything he's going to hear and read is not going to be praise. He understands that aspect of it, and I think he embraces it. I think you great guys, y'all embrace the expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was asking you a while ago about who wants to carry the ball and get hit 15, 20 times a game.
Hell, I loved it.
You loved it. I mean, you guys are different, and I think he's different. Yeah. But he, it's not going to go all swimmingly.
Yeah, and that's what I know, and I just don't want the expectation to be there for it.
Dwayne didn't have. I mean, I don't even know what the expectations were for Dwayne last year, except he might be able to throw the ball better. We all knew he wasn't going to run much. This guy's Braxton and Dwayne kind of put together. Maybe not quite as great a runner as Braxton. Maybe not quite as great a passer as Dwayne.
Get that combo there.
But dude, he can throw the ball.
And that's one of the things that I'm interested in seeing, man. Is his athletic ability, because you hear about it so much, and just the practice that I've been to, and seeing him in the spring game, you really didn't see that take over at all.
No. Well, he wasn't a starter yet.
Right.
Number one, the ordained starter, and number two, like I asked him the other day. I keep bringing that back up what my conversation, me and 30 of my best friends, but I asked him, I said, how long did it take you in high school to go from the guy who was the starting quarterback to Justin Fields? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And he said his first game of his junior season is when he felt like he was out there just balling.
Right.
I mean, playing whatever the play called for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you feel compelled.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you feel responsible to do what you've been taught. But then the great ones, and this is what sets all of them apart, even it sets all the great quarterbacks apart, is the ability to, when the coach's great scheme doesn't work and you still make something positive out of it, that's what sets you apart. Scares coaches and also fires them up because they know that no matter what, they've got a guy that can make something happen. I think they definitely feel that about Justin Fields. You can tell by the way Ryan Day talks about him, the potential he sees if things go according to Hoyle, so to speak. And there's this, but he's going to have an acclimation period of getting comfortable again being the starting quarterback. He hadn't been a starting quarterback for 2 years. Poor guy.
Yeah. You talk about the offensive side and Justin Fields on the offensive side. I wanted to ask you about the defense. Obviously, last year we struggled.
Wait, you guys don't know anything about
defense. Yes,
you guys don't know anything about defense.
Exactly. That's why.
I'm messing with you.
Well, I want to stick on the offense a little bit more, man.
You know how we bounce around, man. We bounce back and forth.
Y'all put your cue cards together and figure out where you're going. See, that's the bad thing about cue cards.
Exactly.
They're like a GPS. They sometimes take you down the wrong street. Go ahead, though.
What you got on defense?
Man, I was just going to ask, obviously last year we struggled a lot on the defense side of the ball. We got a new
man. Don't bring that up to them.
Listen, because
I have a bunch.
We got Greg Madison, Al Washington came over from Michigan. Obviously, what are your expectations? For the Buckeyes defense this year?
Well, somebody who's always late. That would be me, by the way. Somebody who's always late, and they go, "I'm going to be on time tomorrow." Well, until tomorrow comes, and then the 10 days after that, and they're on time. They're still always late, right? So, to me, I mean, the expectations are based on the guys you've talked to, the coaches, et cetera, people have gotten to watch. This defense is playing on a different level than it did last year.
Right.
And but the proof's in the pudding. When you got Lane Kiffin coming in, who's going to have all kinds of – I mean, this guy can draw up plays, my brothers.
That's another thing, yeah.
And on top of that, I mean, they've got a running back, B.J. Emmons, who was a signee with Alabama a few years ago, and their quarterback, he signed with Oklahoma a long time ago.
They're going to be the king of transfers down there with Lane Kiffin.
Are you kidding me? It's like a train station there.
No doubt.
I heard they got a pretty good tight end as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This tight end is excellent. Yeah. I mean, so they will test this defense. Yeah. I mean, they will. How long that will last remains to be seen, because their big problem is they had a kind of a crappy offensive line last year, and they got 3 or 4 new starters on it this year. So we'll see where that takes them, because it's always train only goes as far as the tracks take them. You know what I mean? And that's the offensive line. But the bottom line, but back to what you're saying, everybody you talk to on the defense just feel. I mean, you can see it in their eyes and hear it in their voices.
So the bullets are going to be flying.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And here's the thing, fellas. y'all dealt with this when y'all were in college. You weren't the same player as a sophomore or junior as you were as a freshman when you first got to play.
Right.
And I saw that with Eddie George. I use that example all the time. You put on video of his junior year and his senior year. Mm-hmm. His junior year, he was running up behind guys, blocks like Corey. Think about it. His left tackle was Orlando Pace. His right tackle was Corey Stringer. Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God.
As a junior.
Man,
and he's running up. He was so eager. And finally, as a starter, he was so eager to make something happen. The patience wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting all that slap stuff going. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
His senior year, he slowed things down, and he looked faster. And he looked like a breakaway threat.
Right.
Well, you look at this defense. Number one, Tough Borland was playing, 5 months after Achilles.
Probably shouldn't have been playing.
Probably shouldn't have been.
He was.
He was never quite the guy he wanted to be. Mm-hmm. Chase Young had a high ankle sprain and then an ankle sprain, one ankle and then the other, and yet he made the seminal defensive play of the year, in my opinion, the 4th and 5 stop at Penn State. But he was nowhere near the guy they needed him to be, and he'll physically, but he was out there gutting it out.
Right.
Especially when Nick Bosa left the team, everybody expected him to take up the slack, and that's it would be, my point is right on down the line. Devon Hamilton, they'll tell you compared to this time a year ago. I mean, this guy's a draft pick guy kind of now. Mm-hmm. A defensive tackle. He really has blossomed. He's really become a leader, a quiet leader, I think, on that team right now. But like I said, those three amigos at linebacker, it looks like they've held on to their jobs, which means
it wasn't all that bad last year.
Maybe that's a good thing.
What I'm saying is maybe Pete Werner is a leaner, meaner, faster version of himself. Malik Harrison was always going to hang on to his job, but those other two guys, the big talk all through spring was Taraja Mitchell, Baron Browning, all these guys. Those guys are right there, but these guys have stepped up their game in front of them. And then on the backside, Jordan Fuller is going to be better than he was a year ago. You got the sense of that. Yeah. And then the two corners. I've watched these corners mature, man. When Gary and Conley couldn't cover me almost. Now, he's going to see this go, are you kidding me? I could cover you in not a wheelchair, an office chair. No, but we all saw him go in, what was that, against Michigan State that one year and get picked on and get pulled out. Marshawn Lattimore, well, those guys, all they did was become, big-time draft picks playing in the National Football League. But that's the great thing about college football is what I call the embedded rising talent that the great programs have that some of the other ones don't. And you see that in Jeffrey Okudah and Damon Arnett. I mean, just the gleam in Damon Arnett's eyes is clear. And then Shaun Wade is sitting right there.
Right.
Shaun Wade got a baptism under fire last year as the nickelback, and now he's back. He steals the nickelback, but they've got all kinds of plans for him. And a guy I'm interested in watching rise maybe is Josh Proctor, and then Brendan White. He's the bullet.
Right.
He was one of the reasons why the defense got a little better last year, except for that.
Got back on track.
Exactly. Got on track. Yeah. I'm not sure it was ever on track. Yeah.
And when you look at this whole situation.
I mean, that first game, holy moly.
It was brutal. But the fact that we got coaches that are running a scheme and they're running a bunch of different variations that's going to best suit their players and best suit the players' talent, and not just throwing a scheme out there at them and saying, we're going to do this because this is what we do. This is my defense, and this is the thing that we're going to do base, and a lot of the time we're going to run man. No, we're not doing that no longer.
We're going to keep them guessing. We're going to we're going to be the smart, and I'm not knocking it because I think Greg Schiano's a great coach. I mean,
I've been coaching this long for a reason.
Right.
But the linebackers didn't play very well last year, and it looked to me like there were times when the linebackers, for want of another term, weren't schooled correctly. I mean, that's just. Yeah. I mean, when they're running into each other, when you're seeing linebackers getting caught up in the wash, as I call it, I've always called it that. I mean, you saw it repeatedly,
right?
And by repeatedly, I mean 4 or 5 times a game. And that Maryland game, when it should have been all figured out, oh my goodness. I think Maryland just scored again. Wait a minute, let me check my watch.
Halftime.
I keep a score on my watch. But like Jeff Hafley pointed out, don't discount what this guy's brought to the table, Jeff Halfley, at the defensive backs coach, formerly in the National Football League. But as he reminded us the other day, he was 7 years in the NFL. Before that, he was 10 years in college. So he's a college coach. Okay, whatever you say, Coach. The reason these guys are paying rapt attention to you is you just came from the league. You know what you're talking about.
Coach Richard Sherman.
But his point is, his point is, it's not a simple defense, simple as in we're going to line up in this and y'all just go hully-gully.
Right.
It's simplified, meaning guys know what they're supposed to do on a particular play. They've got their gap responsibilities. They've got their coverage responsibilities, et cetera. But they're going to mix it up, man 1 minute or press man 1 minute or one possession, zone the next. I mean, that's something you didn't see Ohio State do forever again. And you got to keep people honest anymore, and I think that's going to help them a lot. But the bottom line is, as Greg Madison, and I'm paraphrasing, I've done it a million times so far about this, it's simple to the point is you don't want to get in the way of great athletes, and he thinks it's a collection of great athletes on defense, get in the way of them playing hell-bent. And I said hell bent because that's one of my favorite words.
I mean, you got to allow guys to be able to play without thinking. Yeah. You're thinking way too much. You're going to play slow. You're going to be out of position. Shit never works.
Your eyes. Y'all didn't. Did y'all ever play defense?
I did.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah.
I played defense.
Well, yeah. They put y'all in when they needed to play, and then you go back out. I'm talking about in high school.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most of what we needed to.
Yeah.
Actually,
I remember Orlando Pace went in on goal line a few times, man. I remember one game against Wisconsin where what he did was he blocked the right guard. There was the right guard for Wisconsin just out of the way so Katzenmoyer could make a play. Wow. I mean, it was like unbelievable.
Right. Yeah.
But your eyes have got to be in the right place. That doesn't necessarily mean on the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right.
Your eyes have got to be in the right place, and then you go. The play. It's like reading a book. The play tells you if you just watch your guy, your responsibility, it tells you what's up,
right. So, big question that I have is...
And stay in your gap. I mean,
Speaking of gaps, I'm going to go to the D-line a little bit. Obviously, Jonathan Cooper's banged up.
Yeah.
Who kind of steps in and makes their presence known, or maybe grabs hold of that position while he's banged up?
Yeah, I think
we got a couple guys
until he suffered that high ankle sprain, which we've found out. I mean, they haven't verified or confirmed that or anything, but it was a high ankle sprain. And I think he got a surgical procedure now. The great thing about modern medicine is they can fix stuff now that enhances.
And you can be right back.
Because a high ankle sprain. Did you ever have a high ankle sprain?
Yeah.
Well, that's your people don't know it's the two bones
Sometimes
at the bottom of your leg separate, and that may never ever be totally. But now they can go in and tighten that up. Now they can go in and tighten that up again, that little tendon or whatever, and boom, pardon the expression.
I wish
they
had that back in the day.
Oh yeah. Well, Joe Namath, I'm gonna have one of the physicians from Ohio State. I'm gonna have him on one of my podcasts here soon about just talking about how Joe Namath would have been the greatest quarterback of all time if they'd had arthroscopic surgery back then. But anyway, what you're asking me, Tyler Friday is a guy to keep your eye on. John Baptiste, they got all these hyphen guys in there now, But Tyreek Smith, you kind of hear that he's maybe been a little banged up in preseason camp. We're not sure, but he could be the guy that could really step up in this opener across from Chase Young.
What about Zach Harrison? Man,
Zach Harrison's a guy. They finally named him the other day as a possibly of playing this year. So we'll see. He definitely looks the part.
I mean, he had all the hype in the world coming out. He did the TP, didn't he? Didn't he wait a little bit after signing day?
I think he did.
To pick his school?
Yeah.
No, I think he picked his school on that signing
Was it on
day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he did a TP.
But he tried to keep it secret, and it was funny because the two teams he was basically his finalists were Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
The two guys recruiting him the hardest for Michigan were Greg Madison and Al Washington Jr.
Wow.
I mean,
what a coincidence.
That's like Christmas coming twice.
What a coincidence.
You know what I mean? That's like Christmas and the Easter Bunny, saying. But the bottom line is they think he can. They mentioned him the other day as a guy that could play down the road. But every time you see him, he looks like he's put on another either 5 pounds of muscle or 5 pounds. I mean, it's crazy what college game, what Mickey Marotti's doing with that guy.
I mean, those are freaks over there.
Yeah, and he is so quick. It's crazy. But anyway, those are the couple of guys to keep your eye on.
Looking forward to this weekend, man. I can't wait, especially all those position groups, all those guys we just named. Who steps up, who makes the big plays, And just hell, what do we look like on
See, I'm like
the
me.
offensive end?
I'm eager to see who's that next running back. I mean, it's Demario McCall. This is his shot. This is his shot. Does he take advantage of it?
And it's never been where they came out and gave him his shot, too.
Right.
But like wide receiver, every time I talk about the wide receivers, I forget to mention Chris Olave, who probably is going to start on Saturday.
Right.
I mean, that guy, because there's so many guys there who could play a role.
Garrett Wilson,
yeah. But Benjamin Victor, is he finally going to be that consistent guy? And then on defense, we talked about all the starter kind of guys, but Jocelyn Went, the guy that everybody threw away last year, speaking of disposable diapers, just threw him away after his he's established himself as maybe the backup bullet, and his transformation has been remarkable. But then a guy I want to see that I think is going to be a breakout guy on defense is Josh Proctor, the kid from Oklahoma, as the other safety. We'll see who they even start at safety. Is it going to be him or Isaiah Pryor, whom will be next to Jordan Fuller, or will it be Brendan White? I mean, is Brendan White going to play some safety? Is he going to just play bullet? Are you going to be able to tell?
He's going to be out there.
Exactly. Are you going to be able to tell?
He's going to be out there a lot. I think at all the positions.
He's going to be out there balling.
Man, no doubt.
I like saying balling.
So,
go ahead, Bo.
I was going to say, obviously we know we got Justin Fields, we got J.K. Dobbins at the running back position. We know we have a very deep receiver room. Who is that guy that you think that's going to have like that breakout year, though? Who's going to be that guy that step up and be Justin Fields' guy?
The guy that you keep coming back to, but it may be middle of the year. Remember, Chris Carter didn't start, his first couple of games, but he finally got in there, especially after that Purdue game. They lost that game at Purdue when Mike Tomczak threw the ball out of bounds on 4th down, stopped the clock. But that was the guy didn't move the – I digress every time I talk about stuff. But after that game, Chris Carter had like 7 or 8, 10 catches in that game. You knew he's going to be a stud. Garrett Wilson is that freshman, you got your eye on because the spring game was the eye opener. But he is, the way I understand it, he is practicing like a sophomore. I mean, he's got the bit between his teeth. There's a guy to keep your eye on. But Austin Mack's been banged up through camp.
He might be left behind.
There's a guy. Yeah, but if he comes on, they still like him. The guy though, this guy's going to probably be a starter. But it's his moment is Benjamin Victor. Benjamin Victor, his arms are almost as long as he is. You know what I mean? He clearly has got, that play at Penn State, are you nuts? That was the play of the year as far as just, you show me one play you can show over and over, the catch, the run.
Everything.
But it changed everything for that team, in my opinion. But there's a guy that I've got my eye on, even though he may be a starter, he hadn't really been that guy yet. So I could name you Jalen Gill. Is he going to get a shot?
They got so many damn guys
at H-back.
That's what I'm saying.
KJ Hill is sitting there, and he's 46, 48 catches away from setting the school record for catches in a career. Are you nuts?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I can't wait. This weekend we get it kicked off versus Lane Kiffin and those Florida guys.
Score prediction?
It's FAU, Florida International. Which one is it? I don't know.
Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic. Yeah.
Boca Raton, baby. You can see their stadium from the freeway. It's pretty sweet.
One of those guys down there. And our guy, Buckeye, actually hired Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, Pat Chun.
Pat Chun. Pat left and he's at
Washington State. As I like to say, riding herd on Mike Leach.
Where's Pat, man? Pat's good people. I remember Pat being here.
Pat's a good man.
Absolutely great person.
Keep your eye on Pat Chun down the road. That's all I'm saying.
There's no question about it. There's no question about it. So moving along, man, I want to dive in this NFL a little bit. I know you.
Is that not for long? We're doing this not for long?
No question.
Okay.
I know you frequent Indiana very often, Indianapolis to be specific, because you like racing. But there's a quarterback down there.
Well, for a month out of the year, but go ahead. You digress. Go ahead.
But I digress. There's a quarterback down there, Andrew Luck, abruptly retires. How surprised?
Think about it.
How surprised were you in that situation?
Think about it. You remember when I was asking you guys a while ago about taking the beating? Mm-hmm. Monday mornings. I don't know how many carries y'all ever got maximum in your career. How many did you get in the NFL?
One game, I got 39 carries. One game.
What did you feel like? What did you feel like the next day?
Oh, I felt like shit.
What did you feel like for 3 days?
Oh man, probably 4 days.
This is interesting. Always being on the Beanie and Boom podcast because y'all use words I don't use on mine. Like the. I don't use the because I know I'm gonna have to stop using it here pretty soon. But Andrew Luck hasn't been physically totally fit for 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And everybody, that whole deal where they were booing the other night when Adam Schefter broke the story.
That was
unfortunate,
BS, man.
That was unfortunate. This guy has put his body on the line for you people. It's kind of like gladiators, and he's leaving without dying. I mean,
I feel like he died.
And everybody's booing, huh?
I feel like he died the way they've been talking about it and how the whole thing has just went down.
But like he's letting them down. He hadn't played all preseason.
Right.
He probably wasn't going to play. And but I mean, I just think like Gronk was talking about the other day, Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Man, those weeks on end where you barely get ready to play the game, much less practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, that wears on you. I don't care how much money you're making. And so I give it up to him for having the guts to go, you know what?
Screw this.
This is like crazy. He was when he in his prime, he was about as good as there was in the NFL at times. I don't know if you agree with me or not.
I agree.
But I think it takes guts to say, I can't do this anymore.
No, man, just from a mental standpoint, it's draining. Every year I was in the league, the offseason came around, the end of the season, I was having surgery, and I was rehabbing the entire offseason.
Right.
And I wasn't getting ready until it was time to go to training camp. And even then, I'm still dealing with the injury, so I'm banged up, so I'm rehabbing during the season.
Right.
That is a mental grind like no other. And people don't understand. They say you're getting paid all this money to deal with it. Well, I mean, if your quality of life isn't the same, you're not going to feel good.
The guys you see get hurt on the last play of the season or the last series of the season, or you see Demetrius Knox suffer that injury on the last possession against Michigan last year. Why he was still in the game, who knows? They were up 62-39, but you just and you're sitting there, and Demetrius Knox has come from almost nowhere from a college career to get himself in position to maybe be considered a pro football player, and now he's going to be rehabbing while everybody else is tested.
Right. I
mean, running down the line, I can cite you examples. I wrote a story about that a long time ago. Dave Mono suffered this gruesome Joe Theismann leg injury in practice at Ohio State, in a bowl practice, a bowl practice. And
practice.
And I wrote this story about, man, what a beautiful game this would be if it wasn't for that aspect of it, and of course, the head trauma guys have gone through things like that. I mean, what a beautiful sport it is, except for the fact on any given play it can be your last or your last for that year. And so, yeah, I mean, I give it up to a guy who finally says, I want a quality of life when I'm done, and Andrew Luck, we can make, calf injury, calf strain.
That's what they said.
Kevin Durant. What was he dealing with till his Achilles popped?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what they said.
That's what they said.
They started off with shoulder,
right?
Then they went to a calf.
Well, you saw him
in
that great video in preseason. We took that kind of like I called it a reverse out, but he kind of rolled left, and all of a sudden he's just sort of like you're going,
you know something there. Boom, you played with Andrew Luck, man.
I did.
So what was that like playing with him, and then talk about the competitor that he was and the shit that he dealt with, because y'all never really had a good offensive line there, Andy.
See, that's
don't tell Jack Muhort that.
Well, once Jack got there, the line had got better.
Yeah,
honestly,
I know. I'm just messing with you.
But before that, man, it was pretty bad. But Andrew, man, he's one of those guys, man. Loves the game of football. A great competitor. Always want to see guys doing well.
Smart.
Very, very super duper smart. And he's one of those guys, like, he gets tackled. You make a dirty hit on him, he like, oh, great hit, man, great hit. Tapping you on the butt.
Like Favre.
Yeah,
like Brett Favre, yeah.
He's one of those guys. So to see him have to go out this way, man, it just hurt. It hurt my heart, man.
Yeah, and not only that, you were around him. He's a big dude.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not talking
like
about
a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but big dudes, they hurt too. I'm kind of paraphrasing the Big Lebowski. Grown men do cry.
Yeah.
Grown men do cry.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, yeah, and but Jack Muir has brought him up. He's out of the league now. I mean, he got banged up and was never quite the same, evidently, or just. You never know when that fire is going to go out,
right.
and how much money can they pay you.
Right.
I just like I was saying a while ago about Zeke. We started talking about Zeke. I mean, it's a short time. You get that window, and the fact is, you are an integral part of the team, and you should make as much money as you think you've got coming because it's professional. It's called professional for a reason. They pay you.
It's 100% a business. Speaking of Zeke,
and by the way, if they agree to a contract, it's like buying a car. once you shake hands, you know you could have gotten it for less.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Speaking of Zeke, speaking of your Texas boys in general, because I want to talk about Zeke and Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah. There's another one.
Do you think that the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, you grew up in Texas, so obviously you understand Jerry.
I was a Green Bay Packer fan, though, because Bart Starr was from Alabama. Go ahead.
All right, but you probably understand Jerry and how he does things.
Yeah. I got to meet him, talk to him for like 25, 30 minutes one time a couple years ago.
Does Jerry get this thing done before the season kicks off? Does he really care to get it done? Because, like you said, we need Zeke during the playoffs, not really in the beginning
Well, that was
of the
like
season.
That was a bold statement, too.
But that was like when he had that little Zeke who comment. If you just take that right out of context, you're going, what, But if you saw the video, he's definitely joking.
Right, 100%.
I was like, when Pitt was there and we go, Pitt who,
Right.
I mean, it would be the same thing. Pittman was a hell of a bottom line is, he wants to get it done because he thinks he's been so close to putting it all together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about as a team standpoint for the last several years, and then Dez goes whatever on him, from Lufkin, Texas, my hometown in Texas. Dez Bryant goes off on him. I mean, just when you almost got the pieces together, Jason Witten retires, Witten's back. I'm not sure how much that's helping him one way or the other. I guess we'll find out. But that's the game is putting together the pieces.
Right.
And hoping the pieces stay like in a puzzle, they stay locked together because you never know when that one piece is going to get rabbit-eared and go out the door. And I think definitely Jerry Jones wants to make the deal, but he's not going to. It's like with Dak Prescott. You got to have your quarterback. I'm not necessarily sold on Dak Prescott being a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Me either.
We'll find out.
He's serviceable, certainly.
Serviceable, but I'm not sure if he makes those plays for you when you really, we'll see. But Zeke is one of the elite at his position that's ever played.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he is definitely a major part of your chances to get into the Super Bowl because they've gotten that. Looks like they've gotten their offensive line back together from the way it was a 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean that could be the missing ingredient, and they know they've got to get him back.
Right.
And he doesn't have, he's in Cabo now. I'm sure working out hard. But
I heard he was working out with
Marshall Faulk.
Yeah.
So
okay, him and Marshall Faulk are in Cabo working out hard. Whatever that means.
Right.
Running the beach.
Right.
I heard Bo Bishop talk about the beach ain't that great there, but I wouldn't know because I'm just a lowly sports writer.
Hard sand over there. Hard sand.
Yeah, I'm not like you guys. I can get those signing bonus.
No, but Jadeveon Clowney is another guy that I really don't know what this situation is going to look like. Obviously, they franchise him. They don't want to. He doesn't want to sign that tender.
Can you imagine being the Texans? You got Jadeveon Clowney and you got J.J. Watt. Have they ever played 5 games together?
They really haven't.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying? And you're just going, that's why this idea of you putting all this money into like player, one certain player just because of A, B, or C just drives me nuts. I mean, I think everybody's worth big money playing in the NFL, but I think you also ought to get to a point to where you earn it, meaning, you're there for more than 5 plays.
Right.
And Clowney, bless his heart, he's been hurt. But so it's not J.J. Watt's been hurt. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do with him because I'm not sure how attractive he is, in a trade situation or anything because of his
injury history.
Yeah, his track record.
Well, they got the one team. Was it
Jacksonville?
Miami? Or
wasn't it Jacksonville?
Miami, really wanted, but he's like, I don't want to go to Miami.
Yeah.
I want to go to either.
I thought it was Jacksonville, but you might be right. Yeah,
and he's in a good position, man, because a lot of times players don't really have
leverage.
Yeah, leverage like he has.
Yeah,
because he can really pick and choose where he wants to be traded. Because it's almost like, wherever I go, they're going to give me this fat contract. So if you're not going to do that, then you're going to be wasting your money and wasting the draft picks that you send over.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the gamble. That's why they roll the dice. Weren't y'all doing a gambling promo when I walked in the door?
Yeah.
I mean,
BetDSI.com.
But it's kind of like spinning the roulette wheel a little bit. You got more chances to win on this roulette wheel, but you also have big chances to lose, and that's the way it is when you got like I said. I keep going back to our earlier conversation. When you got guys running into each other at 22 miles an hour, stuff happens.
The craziest thing just happened, though, man. We all watched the Antonio Brown saga go down, and him, clamoring over a specific helmet that he wanted. But the craziest shit, Tim, and I know you don't cuss on your show. I'm sorry, but I'm cussing right here.
That's all right. It's your show, man.
But the craziest thing is
Beanie and Boom, X-rated. Go ahead.
Right. The craziest thing is he turns around and parlays this thing into an endorsement deal. One, he parlayed his situation out of Pittsburgh to $30 more million guaranteed, and now he's parlaying this situation with the helmet to where he's not only going to get a helmet that's custom for him, but he's going to get paid to do it. And I'm hearing that this deal is in like the 6-7 figure range.
Yeah, did you see the Hard Knocks thing this week where the guy had the poster? I think it said "Flew like a butterfly, sting like AB."
Well,
yeah. You know what I mean? I like. See, how long do you get to spend that time in that spotlight?
Right.
You know what I mean? I have never had any problem, even with you guys. This is what makes me mad. We don't have access to you guys in college very much, because I think promoting yourself is a bit, this is your one shot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I have never had any problem with a guy if he feels like, whether it's true or not, and that's just subjective and up to conjecture, whether he's being mistreated in the place he is, trying to better himself. Definitely trying to better himself financially, because the window is very small when you get to do that. Number 3, this guy is damn good. I mean, he is damn good.
The best in the business.
And I'm watching him in those Hard Knock shows run. He's finally got the helmet thing straightened out.
Ate Gary Conley alive.
Yeah,
man,
but
multiple times.
And we know Gary Conley's a hell of a player.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm just watching him, and I'm just going, yeah, this guy. I mean, he is special. He is different. He is worth it. But look what he brings, just eyeballs. I mean,
attention.
Listen,
That's what the Raiders
pro
like,
sports,
yeah.
and even college sports, which are pro, they just don't know it yet, are all about putting fannies in seats, either in the stadium or on television in your living room watching your team.
Right.
AB is one of those guys that people want to see play. And there are going to be people who like him and don't like him, but they're going to watch him because he's considered one of the elite. And so I don't even know what your question was on your little sheet there, but the bottom line is I have never had a problem, as long as it doesn't take away totally from the team.
Right.
Because football is, in the final analysis, a chemistry experiment.
I just never really seen anybody flex their power so much in a negative way, and it turned out to be a positive, essentially.
Yeah.
And negative, I mean, it's all subjective of who thinks it's negative, and so be it. But to be able to do it in this manner,
But dude, he shows up
30
there,
mil and
get
he shows
another
up,
bag.
He
Yeah.
shows up
Crazy.
at a high school game or whatever it was the other night. They're showing it, and he's signing autograph. He's still there at midnight. He's got this looks like a really, I can't even tell what model it is, expensive sports car, because kids are sitting on it and stuff, and he's signing shoes and autographs and stuff. Forever taking selfies and stuff. It reminded me of the Arnold Palmer effect, because I interviewed Arnold Palmer one time. He came for the U.S. Senior Open here at the Scioto back in '86, and I walked up to him after his first, I think it was his first round. I said, Mr. Palmer, could I get you for a couple of minutes? I'm Tim May. I'm with the Columbus Dispatch. He goes, Tim, I'll talk to you in a minute. He goes, but I got to take care of my fans first. I turn around, there's like 500 people sitting there, if there's one. And he signed every autograph, talked to these people. Like an hour later, 45 minutes later, I'm standing there, and he turns around to me, and I'm thinking he's going to go, hey, I got to get out of here.
Right.
He turns around. He goes, Tim, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, what do you need? He stood there and talked to me for like 25 minutes.
After doing all
You
that.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, bottom line is, some guys know how to cultivate it, some guys don't. And that's why Arnold Palmer's Arnold Palmer, and that's why AB is AB.
Yeah.
I think he's tremendous, but he's also a tremendous personality, which I think, helps him down the road.
Yeah. No, man.
Because a lot of guys leave football, they ain't got nothing else to do.
Exactly. I thought it was beautiful to be able to see him parlay it. I thought it was our way about going about doing it, but nonetheless, he did it. He accomplished what he wanted and what he set out, man. Tim, I got to ask this question before we get out of here, man. We're not going to hold you too much longer.
Mr. Crawl is yelling at us about going too long. I think they're running out of videotape.
Right. So, give me your 4 teams that you see this year in college football making it to the college football playoff.
I say the usual suspects, Kevin Spacey would say. Because now he's kind of off the hook a little bit, isn't he, Kevin Spacey?
Is he?
I don't know. One of them he is. Anyway, I digress. Clemson gets back just because they're in the ACC. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're only a couple of
That's a walk in the
challengers.
park.
Trevor Lawrence is so damn good.
Alabama or Georgia, you got to figure is going to be there. If it's Alabama and Georgia again, then I'm going to sell my tickets to college football and go watch the NFL because that's baloney.
Right.
I was going to almost set up a Beanie and Boom euphemism there. It's baloney that two teams from the same conference would be in a 4-team national play. I don't care how good they are. I like Ohio State's chances because I think Ohio State, if guys stay, the key guys we were talking about earlier, stay healthy, Ohio State's going to be a much better team in November than it is in September, just based on all the new guys you're seeing.
Right.
But also, we'll know whether this defense is for real. Dude, as even Greg Madison said last year, Ohio State went 13-1. Everybody said their defense stunk. It did. So, Clemson, the winner of the SEC, Ohio State, if it's there, if Michigan has the kind of year everybody thinks they're going to have, then Michigan. I don't see that, but we'll see. And then now it's up for grabs. Do you take a Big 12 team again, champion? I'm interested to see how Jalen Hurts and Oklahoma go. Jalen Hurts has some, in my opinion, some liabilities when it comes to the passing game. But, man, holy smokes when he runs the ball. But if he can keep you off balance, Lincoln Riley's counting on that. Is Texas the dream team everybody thinks they're going to be? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then West Coast-wise, if somebody on the West Coast, if somebody in the Pac-12, I think, runs the table.
SC? USC?
No, yes.
No way.
People are thinking Clay Helton's going to get fired and Urban's going to be the next coach there. But I don't see that happening either, the last part of that. But Washington or Utah, if they run the table, or Oregon's supposed to be – Oregon might be relying on his defense. Might be a great defensive team this year, which is crazy.
Game this weekend,
but if one of them runs the table, it's kind of the feeling is it'd be kind of hard to keep them out. So it could be a great little moment for the picking. But I think if I had to pick 4 right now, it'd be Clemson, Alabama or Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma.
Nice, man.
If Alex Grinch does anything with that Oklahoma defense, just like with Ohio State's defense,
right, we're in good shape. But that's a wrap on Being in the Boom, Tim. It's always a pleasure having you. And
I got more to say.
You got more to say?
No, I'll do it on my podcast.
You will be back. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, he got his own podcast too. Check Tim's podcast out.
But I'd love to run the veer option with you two guys, though, man. We need them up.
Him as our quarterback. Check everything out on Google, Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud. Who else am I missing? Hell, Lettermen Row, YouTube. Check us all out everywhere. Don't forget, check out lettermenrow.com. Check out the shop. Get some of these cool Beanie in the Boom t-shirts, some cool Beanie in the Boom stickers. And yeah, betdsi.com.
Are you guys on Al Jazeera too? I mean,
we'll look at everything. Okay. Look at everything. I don't even know what Al Jazeera is.
Hey.
That's okay. It's good you don't.
But that's a wrap, man. Thanks a lot.